Good morning, Atlantis. That song was for Sunny.
Good morning, Shannon. Good morning, everyone from Orbit 3. Thank you very much to my family, my husband, and, of course, my dog. I can't wait to be home, and I'm not sure I got $1 million, but that's okay. I just can't wait to be home.
Sounds great, Sunny. We're ready for you, too.
NBC, this is Houston. Please call Atlantis for a voice check.
Atlantis, this is NBC News Washington. How do you copy?
We have you loud and clear. How many?
Well, hello to all of you. It's nice to see you, and as you might expect, we'd love to ask each one of you a question, but time is of the essence here, so if you don't mind, we'll get right to it. And to Sunny Williams first, congratulations on the record that you have set for women in space. Give us a sense of what you're looking forward to. You've been in space now since December. What are you going to do when you get back to Earth?
Well, thanks for the question. First off, can't wait to get back and feel the air on my face and a sea breeze. I'm looking forward to hopefully going to the beach and taking a walk with my husband and my dog. So that's the first thing. And secondly, I just can't wait for a good piece of pizza.
I was just going to ask, what have you missed the most? What are you craving? What will you do when you get back to Earth?
Well, I think those three things wrap it up first. One of the sad things, though, I think I'm going to have a lot flatter hair when I get back, so I think I'm going to have to work on getting a haircut as soon as I get back so it looks a little bit normal. I have been living like this with hair up and flying around for a little while, so it's going to be funny to see what it looks like when I get home, so I think I'm in line for a good haircut.
Sonny, this computer glitch on the space station had a lot of people here on the ground very worried, and they finally managed to get the computers back up and running after bypassing that faulty switch. How confident are you right now that the computer problems are fixed and that the station is, in fact, stable?
Well, I have to say, I am not an expert on the Russian computer systems. We have a general overview of how the systems work and how they interface with the U.S. system, so I don't think I'm an expert to answer that question. However, when we left, they had the computers up and running the Russian parts of the station, which needed those computers to work. I think I read probably just as you did, we don't know the exact cause of the problem, and so I think there's some further fixes that they're going to need to do. But the state of the station is fine right now. It's back to its normal condition.
This was described as almost a modern-day Apollo 13 moment where all of the best minds at NASA and in the Russian space agencies came together to figure this problem out. What does it say about the state of the relationships and the working relationship between the U.S. and the Russian space agencies?
I think the relationship is excellent. We came together with our Russian partners, and the Mission Control Center in Houston and Moscow got together and solved the problem and got the mission accomplished. So I think it's an excellent example. I'm glad you brought it up.
To Danny Olivas, I know this is your first time in space, and this was you had a couple of spacewalks under your belt, and everybody was watching so closely as you tucked that thermal blanket back in. Can you describe what were your thoughts when you first showed up and you got a good look at it? What did you think, and then how did you fix the problem?
Well, luckily we had a good ground team that did a tremendous amount of work before the EVA, and so a lot of the questions that we had going into the EVA were actually already answered. And so when I got out there, I felt really well prepared to deal with the situation, and pretty much everything that they described on the ground that I was going to see and that I needed to do happened exactly that way on the blanket. So I felt very confident out there that I had a good ground team supporting us.
Did you take home ec in high school? I mean, you seem to be pretty good at the stapling and the sewing action there, Danny.
Oh, I listened to Mom when I was growing up, and so I think she taught me well.
Well, Commander Rick Sturkow, how confident do you feel about Atlantis now returning to Earth, depending on the sewing and the stapling of Danny up there near the OMS rocket?
Well, we had an excellent view for Danny's helmet cam, and of course we listened to all the pre-flight briefings and got good word back from Mission Control Center Houston that everything looks great.
And Rick, this was described as one of the most successful yet challenging construction missions to the International Space Station. How do you believe space historians will write about your particular mission?
Well, I hope they just say that we came up here and got the job done.
Well, man of few words. Is there? Hopefully they'll say something more than that, I would think, huh?
You never know what challenges that you're going to face when you train for a mission. Obviously, we train for what we call a nominal task, and then we do some further training in case something does come up. And so hopefully what this will really reflect on is the type of training that they put us through, the ground teams and those that prepare us to go to space, that when they send us off, we are ready to do whatever mission comes up.
And what does it say about the overall space program and the desire to move on to the moon, to complete the space station and then move on to the moon?
And one of the things that kind of caught my attention as we were leaving yesterday was that that piece of machinery is an incredibly complex operation, and it's been amazing we've been able to pull it all off. And it's, if anything, it's telling us that we can take those steps. Even though that might be the first small step, it's going to be the beginning of our destiny as we move out into the planet. And as we go onto the moon, the space station is going to tell us an awful lot about the nuts and bolts of just living in space, which is one of the most important things we need yet to learn.
Well, congratulations on a great mission. It's nice to see you all. You delivered some beautiful pictures and video. And, Sonny, we're excited to see you back on Earth. So have a safe trip home.
Thanks a lot.
Atlantis, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the NBC portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from ABC.
Atlantis, this is ABC. How do you hear me?
We have you loud and clear, ABC. How many?
Sonny, let me start with you. If you were going to design your dream mission, what would that mission be?
Well, I can't imagine anything better than what I just came off of. I had the whole gamut from working the robotics in the beginning with STS-117, doing EVAs during the stage with Michael Lopez Alegria, having 2 expedition crews up there, and then adding on another solar array. In the meantime, doing a bunch of science. So I don't think I could ask for anything better. And hopefully the stuff that we did there will be a small contribution to getting us back to the moon, because we did a lot of neat stuff in the engineering field, in the medical field, in the scientific field. I think we did the full gamut. So I think I'm very fortunate, and I can't ask for anything, couldn't have asked for anything better.
Do you ever think about going to the moon?
Absolutely. We saw it out the back window as we were flying today, and you look at it and you think hopefully we're making strides, and we're finding out how we're actually going to be able to maybe build a space station there, maybe live there, and hopefully we're doing some of that while building the space station and living up there. So absolutely, I think all of us have that in the back of our mind. All of us have probably seen the Apollo guys walk on the moon and think, wow, that would be neat, and we'd love to do it.
This next question is for all of the dads who spent Father's Day on orbit. I'd like to know what you each told your children about the spacewalks and about this mission and about operating the robotics. If you would each take a turn and give that a shot, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I'll take the first shot at it, then I'll give the mic over to Swanee. I was one of the robotics guys, and I did share it with my kids through email. The experience of what it was like to operate the robotic arm, and it was very exciting not only to operate the robotic arm with our payload, but also with 2 EVA crew partners, one Daniel Levis and the other Jim Riley, in addition to Pat Forrester. So it was very exciting to work the robotic arm and a lot of different activities that we planned for and some that we didn't plan for. And I'll also share with them that it was a nice time in that I missed my daughter's birthday, and so I wished her on Father's Day also the same thing, a happy birthday. And Pat and I were out spacewalking on Father's Day. We had a wonderful time, and I tried to tell my kids here all about that, how much I enjoyed it. The views were great. I just tried to pass that along to them and the feelings that I went through during that spacewalk. I had a really good time, and it was probably the best Father's Day I ever had, except probably, of course, the births of my children. It was wonderful.
And for Commander Sturkow, you saw the space station when it was just very newly built, and you've just completed a very challenging mission. Compare the space station on your first flight up there and what you saw as you left this last time.
Well, obviously it's a lot bigger now, and I think the thought that comes to mind is that this took a lot of work to put all this equipment and hardware up there and to get it constructed by a very talented group of folks that designed and built it, and then the folks that are challenged with operating it. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff that we read in the media that might be considered negative about the space program, but it kind of takes your breath away when you think of how hard it is to do all this, and I think everybody that works on it ought to be very proud of how far we've come so far and where we're going in the future.
And for Jim Riley, before you left, we talked to you about being a construction guy in space. Tell me what you found the most challenging part of your construction mission up there.
Probably the most challenging part was getting used to the environment again a little bit. Out at the end of the truss when we were hanging out over the Earth, one of the things that kind of struck me the first time we got out there was there wasn't really anything between me and the surface of the Earth a couple hundred miles below but the soles of my boots, and that was kind of an awe-inspiring moment. You just kind of have to focus back on the task and kind of forget the environment around you, but every once in a while you take that 10 seconds and look around, and it's really one of those things you'll remember forever.
And for Danny Olivas, a lot of people in Texas were following your mission. How aware were you, and were you ever able to see El Paso as you flew over?
Yeah, I've actually tried on several occasions. I didn't see El Paso while I was out doing EVA, but while I was back on shuttle, we did make several passes over El Paso, and sometimes it was cloudy, sometimes a little bit more open, but I haven't had an opportunity to see it. I'm hoping to try and get a good shot, a good photograph of it.
And I have one final closing question for Sonny Williams. Where will Gorby be when you come home? And how soon will you see Gorby?
That's a great question because I'm not exactly sure where he'll be when we land. Hopefully we'll be landing tomorrow, which means he'll be up in Massachusetts. He should be back in Texas by the weekend, so I should be able to take him for a walk on the beach by Sunday morning, I think.
Thank you very much, STS-117 from ABC News.
Thanks a lot.
Atlantis, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the ABC portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from CNN.
Atlantis, this is CNN New York. How do you hear?
We have you loud and clear, CNN. Help me.
5 by 5. It's Miles. How you all doing up there? You guys look great. Good to see you. CJ, your hair looks good in space. Got to tell you that.
Thank you very much. It meets the Marine Corps grooming standards. I got actually a haircut from a Russian Station Commander Fyodor Yurchikhin, and he did a good job. It was free also.
I guess that gives new meaning to the term high and tight, doesn't it?
Well said.
All right, let's begin with you, CJ. I'm hearing that the late inspections came out well, and you guys are going to be clear to go in and come back home. But I'm still curious about all that debris that we saw when you undocked. What's your best guess on what all that was?
Well, we didn't get to see the stuff that came off near the space station. We reported some stuff later in the afternoon. It was very minor, just a little washer and some threads that hold the blankets on in the payload bay. So we're not expecting any problems during entry. As you know, the doors are closed, and it should be fine.
Atlantis, Houston ACR, please stand by. We are reestablishing CNN.
Can you guys hear me now?
Got you 5 by 5, Miles.
All right, well, we're out of time. Drive safely. Thanks very much. Now, let's see if we can squeeze any of this in. Sonny, my apologies, elbow on the wrong button here. Let's talk about Sonny Williams. You have a space record. You beat Shannon Lucid's record. And yet, here on Earth, your dog is more famous. The flat Gorby tail has spread all around the world. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think that's pretty cool. One of the reasons I brought up Gorby in the first place, and I was asked this question before about how my husband Mike feels about this, and the reason I brought it up was, kids can relate to a dog. They don't necessarily relate to things that adults relate to, and I think everybody can understand that you have a passion for a pet, and it's something that you miss while you're up here. And I think that was sort of universal, and obviously it was, and it spread, and I think that's pretty neat.
Now, I assume you'll get a chance to probably go to the White House. And when you go to the White House, will you bring Gorby, and will Gorby get a chance to see Barney?
I don't know about that. He's not always, the best traveling companion, so I'm not sure he would be that polite in the White House. I got to watch where he might make a mark and stuff like that. So I'm not positive I'll bring him to the White House.
I guess soiling the White House would be a violation of protocol, wouldn't it?
Somebody might have an issue with that, that's for sure.
Pass the microphone up to JR. We're talking now to Jim Riley. Jim, I wanted to ask you a little bit about that wonderful picture as you guys pulled away from the space station. A lot of people down here have been talking about Star Wars TIE fighters and all that and how cool it looked. You're a man who can wax eloquent. I've seen you do it before. You've helped me filibuster through hours of television in the past. Give us a little poetry on what it was like to see that thing.
As we were pulling away from it, first thing that struck me is that it's really a complex machine, and it's one great accomplishment for being able to pull this off over the last few years and put together this machine that truly is the first really permanent international human outpost in space, and it's our first real step off the planet. And hopefully that's just the first of many steps beginning here that will extend to the moon and Mars and continue our trek through the planet.
But there's just kind of a cool factor there, too, isn't there?
Way cool would be the way I'd put it, yeah.
Pass it over to Danny. Danny, great work on the... you've proved in a couple of ways you're good with your hands in space. You did a good job tucking in that blanket. You used the stapler to do your job. And then I saw you making a taco. And you were really good. Not bad for a rookie.
I think that's actually one of the requirements. If you come from El Paso, you definitely learn how to make Mexican food. My mom was a wonderful cook, and so she taught me well. Although I have to admit, the preparation here in space is a little bit more challenging than it is in El Paso.
Yeah, you did pretty well, though. Let me ask you this. So everybody I've run into says, wait a minute, this is space. It's the shuttle. It's a $2 billion, the most complicated machine on the planet, and we're holding it together with staples? How would you respond to that comment from people?
Well, I would respond to it based on the aerothermal analysis that has been done to demonstrate that the regime that blanket needs to stay in place doesn't really see a whole lot of aerodynamic loading. It's only when you get down low that the loading will get a little bit higher on that blanket. And the blanket's chief purpose is to protect the ohms pod during entry. And so when you don't have a whole lot of load on it, you don't need a lot to hold it on. And that's the reason why it's stitched together the way that it is. So I think the engineers down at NASA did an awesome job in coming up with a very quick, sensible solution. It was, obviously easy enough that I could do it, and they did an awesome job, and I definitely trust their analysis.
So the stapler, we have proven the stapler is astronaut-proof. Let's send that mic over to CJ, and I want to ask you a question about the station in general. What we learned a little something about complexity, I think, over this mission. You add some solar arrays, and for whatever reason, whether it's, friction in the wisps of the atmosphere there, whatever it is, it causes this huge computer meltdown. When you're on the ground and you're being debriefed, what would be your recommendation for future crews and future missions to try to guard against these kinds of things coming to bite you?
I'm sure folks will be working on that for a long time. The part of the first step is going to be just to understand the problem. I don't think it's clearly understood yet. They've got a good workaround, but some more analysis needs to be done that. And And, it was unexpected, but that's part of what we've been talking about, Miles, is that you're going to be encountering unexpected circumstances. It kind of felt like a bad sim case at the time it was happening, and had we been in the simulator at Johnson Space Center, we'd say, no way that would be going on right now. So, but again, the team was up to the challenge, and the folks figured a good way to get around it.
So this is the mission of staples and jumper cables. I'm curious, your Russian colleagues up there must have been pretty gratified that a few jumper cables saved the day. I mean, they must have been sweating it.
I think they're very proud that the team came up with a good idea that worked. With margin to spare, we were doing a lot of conservation efforts over here on the shuttle in case we needed to stay docked a few extra days, and then it turned out it wasn't necessary. So NASA did everything on their part, and the Russian Space Agency came through too. So our hats off to them for a great job.
One quick final one for Sonny. I'm out of time, way out of time, because I messed up. Sonny, I saw it was a very touching goodbye to Mission Control that you gave. Can you just try to encapsulate the emotions that were going through your mind as you left the station after 6 months, that record stay?
Well, Miles, I'll quickly say, when you stay somewhere for 6 months, it becomes your home, and it's hard to leave. And I feel that I was able to pass on a good station, at least, everything that I was able to touch to Clay, and he's going to do a wonderful job up there. So I'm just proud of him.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for your patience with the non-rocket scientist here. Godspeed, Atlantis, and we'll see you on the ground tomorrow, we hope, weather permitting.
Atlantis, Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thanks.
Hey, Kevin, about 10 minutes till bedtime here. I just wanted to tag up with you and describe that the cockpit setup is been in stow, is largely complete. All the seats are set up. All the O2 and cooling hoses are routed. As JR described, he has already closed out the airlock in Block 3 Alpha. He's got the 5 MLE bags all cinched down, and everything is looking very orderly and ready for entry. So the crew has done a great job pulling together to get ourselves set up. We also have the fluid loading kits deployed, and we'll be ready tomorrow if the weather cooperates.
Okay, CJ, outstanding work. We'll make notes of all that and pass it on to your entry team, and have a good night's sleep, and good luck with the entry tomorrow.
Okay, thanks a lot. Also, Kevin, our crew, the STS-117 crew, would like to recognize our Orbit 1 flight director, now our Orbit 2 flight director, Kathy Kerner. As you know, this will be Kathy's last mission. We hope this will be Kathy's last shift as a flight director tonight if we re-enter tomorrow. But we just really appreciate all her dedication to the job and her leadership. And several of us have Capcom for Kathy in the control room and know she's a joy to work with. So it's a real honor to thank her from Orbit. And she's not going far, and we look forward to continue to work with her there at the Johnson Space Center.
Atlantis, Houston. CJ, this is Kathy. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you very much. It's been an honor to serve with you on this mission.
Thanks a lot, Kathy. It's great to hear your voice, and we hope to see you back in Houston real soon.
We're looking forward to watching a pretty entry tomorrow.
Sounds great, Flight. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.